Rests as President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo hold crucial talks with the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken on global health, security, expanding energy access and economic growth. On the domestic scene, all the sides that make their case as the arguments around APC's yet to be fixed national convention ratchets up, and we see the different angles. Also on political update today, PDP Governors Forum says establishing state police will give better focus to crime prevention and response. We have these and more on the program. I am Fisayo Gunfuyi. Welcome. President Muhammadu Buhari has formally reacted to the recently released NSAS probe panel's report, saying the federal government will allow the system exhaust itself by waiting for pronouncements from the state governments which set up the panels. The president made his comments while exchanging views with visiting U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken.
President Muhammadu Buhari told the U.S. Secretary of State that with so many state governments involved and different terms of reference given to the probe panels, the federal government has resolved to wait for the steps taken by the states and allow the system to work. We can't impose ideas on them, he explained. And on the recent removal of Nigeria from the watch list of countries violating religious freedom, which Mr. Blinken said was based on facts, President Buhari expressed the country's appreciation, noting that there is freedom of worship in Nigeria and no one is discriminated against on the basis of his or her faith. The president equally appreciated the United States for allowing Nigeria to procure military hardware to fight terrorism in the country and for the training given to Nigerian military. The gesture, he explained, is helping Nigeria to stabilize the situation in the northeast, and a lot of progress has been made since 2015, and the people involved appreciate the efforts of government. President Buhari also touched on the impact of climate change, which affected the livelihood of about 30 million people in the Lake Chad Basin countries, saying interbasin water transfer is the best way forward towards supporting farming, fishing, and animal husbandry. Mr. Blinken appreciated the contributions of President Muhammadu Buhari in protecting the climate, saying America and Nigeria have diverse challenges, but a common denominator is security, and hoped for better partnerships.
We're working with Nigeria to address security challenges. We discussed the importance of a comprehensive approach that builds effective security forces, addresses the underlying drivers of extremism, and respects Nigerians' basic human rights. The United States is committed to helping Nigeria do that by continuing to invest in our security partnership and the institutions that strengthen the rule of law and that hold accountable those who commit human rights abuses, corruption, and other acts that harm the Nigerian people. We're also working closely with Nigeria to help the populations most affected by conflict and violence in the country, particularly in the Northeast, where the United States is providing vital humanitarian aid to approximately 2.2 million internally displaced Nigerians.
At a joint media briefing with the Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema, the U.S. Secretary of State described the report of the NSAS probe panel as democracy in action.
The range of issues that we're working on together is vast, but given the interests we share and the challenges we have in common, delivering for our people demands that we find ways to deepen our existing ties and partnerships even further. That's ultimately what this visit and the work that we're doing every single day between our governments, between our people, what it's all about. We strongly support Nigeria's engagement, leadership, and strong voice in both regional and, for that matter, leading international organizations.
Over the last 5-6 years of this government, we've maintained very close relations with the U.S. We see the U.S. as a very important global partner, largest economy in the world, most powerful country in the world, and we engage at the multilateral and the bilateral level with the U.S. And we also can appreciate that they also see us as having a very important position and a very important role to play on the African continent, and so we also engage with the U.S. in playing a regional role also on the continent.
Mr. Blinken, who is on tour of some African countries, had earlier in the year held a virtual meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo also had talks with the U.S. Secretary of State on areas of common interest.
Again, just to reaffirm most of what you have said, especially about the importance of the cooperation and the importance of working together. And it's absolutely critical. It's been shown, especially in the response to COVID-19, and I think that this was probably a providential way of showing just how interconnected the whole world is, and there is no real solution without everyone being protected from this pandemic and the possibility of others. And I also like to thank you again, thank the government of the U.S. for the cooperation on security, which has been very important to us. The Super Tucanos have been delivered, and of course we're looking forward to the helicopters as well. But also, I think more importantly, a lot of the infrastructure support and the intelligence support that we've gotten from the U.S. on the security issues in the Northeast and the Sahel. Of course, the challenges, continue they seem to increase, especially the Sahel today, and most of what we're seeing in the Lake Chad region with ISWAP and all of that. And I think that going forward, we, of course, as we talked about, we're looking forward to greater collaboration, greater cooperation.
The agenda that we have so very well, and it's really reflective of the fact that the work that our countries are doing together is both incredibly broad in the things that we're doing and also increasingly deep. And we welcome that. We welcome working in ever closer ways, because one of the things that we feel very strongly is that the big challenges all of our citizens face simply can't be addressed by any one of us acting alone. There's a greater premium than there's ever been on working together, finding ways to cooperate. We're all feeling that very strongly when it comes to COVID-19, and we're grateful for the work we've been able to do together on that. And I think looking to the future, developing capacity for manufacturing vaccines in Africa is going to be critical, especially in dealing with unfortunately the next pandemic, because there almost certainly will be one. We know from the work that we're doing together on climate that we have to be doing this.
Still from the State House, we hear that the Speaker of House of Representatives, Abia has briefed President Buhari on reasons behind the provision of the direct primaries and the Electoral Act Amendment Bill as passed by the National Assembly.
We are for direct primaries. We are for direct primaries. We are for empowering the people from at the grassroots level. Let everybody participate in governance. Democracy is defined as government of the people, for the people, and by the people. People is used 3 times in that definition. And it doesn't start from general election, it starts from the primaries. So we've made it very clear, abundantly clear. You pass the not too young to run bill, but at the same time, you close the space for the young ones who you've passed the bill to run. You continue with your indirect primaries, how would the young people get involved? Now they have a chance with the direct primaries. You've opened up the space, and they can get in and mobilize themselves, and whoever, if they're popular enough, they win the election. They're not dependent on any godfather.
There's this concern that you are fighting because you are being aged out.
Let me tell you something very clearly. For me, and I've said it over and over again, the indirect primary is easier for me, at least as far as my constituency is concerned. The indirect primary is easier for me. But because I don't want to be selfish, because I want to look at the bigger picture, I would rather go with direct primaries. Let everybody come out. But if they vote me out, they vote me out.
Is the president in support of your
The president has always been. We all know that. The whole world knows that. He's always been. From his inception in politics, he's always been a direct primaries because he's a very popular man.
All right, we've gone through a gamut of stories. Now joining us today is veteran journalist and, of course, he's the managing director and editor-in-chief of the Guardian newspaper, Mr. Martins Onoja. Thank you for coming. You know, what we see is your articles and the byline. It's nice to see you in the studio today. First, U.S. is here. And U.S. has seen us. It's still U.S. and U.S. U.S. has seen us. It seems to be at least a far departure from a former leader of that same country that, you know, referred to Africa in an unprintable way, in an unprintable name. But now it seems as if there's more cordiality on the table.
Oh, definitely. It's good for the country. It's good for us. As a great leader in Africa, and indeed the leader of the black race, for them to be opening up and changing their own view and perception, negative perception about us. And I think it is good for us that Anthony Blinken, U.S. Secretary of State, is saying that about us. It's not about our leader. It's not about just about us as a people, as the most populous nation in Africa, and a country that the black race looks up to. You know, the late Nelson Mandela said that before he died, that the black race will not be respected and will not be known in the world until Nigeria is known, until Nigeria takes up that role. So Nigeria is the leader of not just Africa, but the black race. It's good for us. That relationship is cordial, and it's looking up, and you see that he even commented on a panel's report that was submitted in Lagos as Democracy in Action. It means that that one we also deepen our democratic action, because they didn't stop it. The report, it is said, indicted so many government officials and others, but they didn't stop it. If they had stopped it, there wouldn't have been any comment on that. He has seen it that he was entering the country. He saw that a report has been released. It means that we are actually growing in so many areas, despite some of the issues that confront us. It's good for us.
All right, so moving on now. You've been, you know, forever in the political scene, you know, especially even in the federal capital for more than about 33, 34 years, from the news field to the newsroom to the boardroom now, finally. Thank goodness.
Thank God.
And, you know, some will say, but looking at our, you know, political maturity, the last track up there was from the Speaker of the House of Representatives. So we're talking about direct primaries, no direct primaries in the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. What is your take on that? Where do you stand?
I stand for democracy. You saw that the Speaker used, he remembered that he used the word people 3 times. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And then people are beginning to demonize that, as we used to say, and our chairman at the editorial board of The Guardian will say, we are beginning to corrupt that classic, that government of the people, by the people, and against the people. But now, that will deepen democracy, because democracy begins with our party system. You can't stand for election according to our own constitution without passing through a platform called political party. So the political party system has corrupted internal democracy in this place. Nobody relies on the internal democracy mechanism. And so most of our leaders were elected that way by paying their way through. But we have got to a stage now where a set of people, whether people like them or not, are saying, no, let everybody participate in choice of our leaders. Because just as Chinua Achebe noted in 1983, he said that the trouble with Nigeria is simply and squarely a problem of leadership. There's leadership. So the leadership crisis is still staring us in the face. Now we've got to a stage where people say, look, let all of us as members of a political party have a say from the grassroots. Nobody can bribe everybody like that. For you to have money to be able to bribe everybody to make you a candidate, you know that it is ticklish. It's like forcing a stream to flow uphill. It's not easy like that. So it will deepen our democracy no matter what some of our leaders are saying about it. People who is afraid, let us ask, who is afraid of direct primary and why? They need to tell us, even the people.
All right, sir. Time is not our friend. Let's move on very quickly because the stream of things. We still need you to talk. Time is not our friends. Let's now look at the race to 2023 has begun. PDP has, gotten the zone helmsman. APC is raring to go, but the process seems to be a bit jerky. How do we go? How does the party go? Across that threshold, and then we begin to see how things will unfold in the next months.
No, definitely, they need to, even APC itself as the ruling or governing party, as they want us to call them, governing party, and then they need to do some introspection and see the opposition party is putting its house in order, that they need to put their own house in order. The leadership crisis that is still rocking the place, they need to adopt some conflict resolution mechanism behind the scene to ensure that they have their own leadership in place. We have seen what is happening now, that they may not have their convention, they may not have their leader in good time. It's not good for them. As they are talking about internal democracy that is being strengthened by the force of law, by the provision of the law, that they are going to have direct primary, they need to put their house in order and ensure that they are ready for the next dispensation of political contest.
Let me take this one to the second leg. You wrote so much about before we got to Anambra, postulations and all that. Yeah. We've seen Anambra. What lessons from there? 2 more off-cycle elections than 2023. Very quickly.
The lesson from Anambra, first and foremost, is that use of technology can deepen our democracy, no matter the problem, the glitches that we saw. And we can see that when people are determined, they can get there and they can elect the person that they want. And that the 2 major political parties should be very careful about what happened. Abia, just one state that they have. They were able to retain it. They beat the governing party in Nigeria. They also beat the main opposition party. And that is a lesson to us that something is beginning to happen. And that the lesson, again, is that we normally demonize the police and INEC and all those things like that. We are beginning to see that our institutions can work if our leaders who control them are neutral. You can see nobody complained about the police, nobody complained about DSS, nobody complained about security agencies generally, and nobody complained especially about the operation of the election, about the outcome of the election. Nobody complained about INEC, the election management agency. That's a great lesson, that people who have been involved in electoral malpractices, irregularities, should be careful that Nigeria is coming and Nigeria is going to make it. And with the kind of thing that is happening with direct primary and what we saw in Anambra, the lesson is that, yes, we will be there.
All right, already the race to 2023 is around the corner. Of course, we saw, just as you mentioned, BVAT, this and that, but we're trying to get all that, right, so that, because we won't have this number of, operatives spread across all the states, in terms of their heavy presence. Yeah. It will be spread thin in 2023. But looking at, you've seen posters, we've seen, but the momentum has started, especially from the south. What are your impressions, and who are the early riders?
Well, the momentum has started, but we'll still continue to talk to our leaders and people who manage them. That Nigeria, as the perception goes now, is divided. And you see that 2 political parties are playing a game. That, the successor to the current leader should come from the south. It should come from the north. But when you watch the body language of people who are making them, you will see that even people within the APC are gearing up to be chairman of the party. It means that they favor their own presidential candidate to come from the south. That is what we are beginning to see. Well, they have not given us the framework, but in the south, we can see that so many are also gearing up. You will see people in the south, you say the Ashiwaju, you see all sorts of people, even Rotimi Amechi, Akeredolu, you can see their body language, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, and even Akiwumi Adeshina, and so many of them, including even Obasaki, who is in Edo. You see their body language that they are preparing, including even a former governor of Lagos State, Akinwumi Ambode. These are hopefuls, and we see their body language that they are preparing to take up these leaders to challenge the system to be candidate in the next dispensation. We have seen them, it's been published in some cases, it's been published that they are gearing up. It shows that even the ruling party is beginning to think that, yes, if we need to strengthen unity in this country, we need to rebuild the country, the candidate should come from the south.
All right, well, it's we'll lean on your experience, but is it exciting in the political terrain now? We have had 22 years of democracy uninterrupted. Are we maturing?
Yes, we are. We're maturing. If you see what is happening now, we just talked about Anambra. We have seen our challenges. Most of our political leaders haven't impressed us. But we begin to see what is happening even in recent weeks. I'm a newsman. We're talking about even current affairs. You see what happened to a particular suspect who ran away from justice. He ran into even a neighboring West African country. The security agencies tracked him and brought him back to the country, prosecuted him, and he's now in jail. We don't need anybody's there. We don't want to do any characterization. When you link that one to what happened in Anambra, and you link that one to the way they are making our constitution and even our electoral law to ensure that people participate, to ensure we have participatory democracy, I think we are maturing. When you also see a set of leaders, even in the north, mark my word, even in the north, saying, look, it is better at this time to have a successor from the south to strengthen our unity. I believe that we are actually maturing. Despite the fact that people are saying this one, people are saying that one here, you begin to see that even the United States government is beginning to notice that we are maturing, despite the fact that we complain about corruption, we complain about lack of democratization, lack of this, lack of that. We complain about so many things, even broken down infrastructure. I believe that we are maturing. We need to strengthen our basis for leadership. We need to strengthen our political recruitment process, which is being done even through the law. It appears that we are maturing. Yeah, we have problems here and there, but I believe that we are maturing with the things that we are seeing. And even suddenly, National Assembly people that we have been demonizing because of so many things that they have done that have been unpopular, they are beginning to also work in favor of a people process.
All right, Mr. Martin Oloja, we just have about a minute to round off. Many thanks for coming. We will have to continue this, conversation, or at a later. The time is not our friend. But a few short words on the for the state. Are we playing our role? Very quickly.
Yeah, we're playing our role. If we are not playing our role, some of the things that we are talking about now will not be there because we are playing our role. We have constraints of the political economy of press freedom, because the economy also defines press freedom.
All right, I will continue from here next week. Many thanks to you for watching. You've been watching Political Update on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, and we have no less a guest than a veteran journalist, managing director, editor-in-chief of The Guardian, Mr. Martin Oloja, here with us. And of course, he has promised to be part of the process, as we'll be getting him in the studio as many times as possible as we look at all the processes, the elections coming up in 2022, as well as the big one in 2023. My name is Fisal Ogunfi, thanking you for staying tuned, urging you to play your politics for the greater good, and keep on watching the Nigerian Television Authority, where we give you the very best of news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Bye-bye now.
NTA, you can't beat the reach.